Let's talk about the present simple tense. And you can also say simple present if you like. It doesn't matter too much. But I like to read the chart in terms of the tenses first, so past, present, and future, and then we add the aspect afterwards. So we'll call this the present simple tense. Now, if we look at a kind of time chart here, we'll get to some examples in a moment and think about how this tense relates to time. But first, we may want to actually think about how we form this tense. And we'll use a few examples here. So we have love, I love you, and then we have cry, and let's just use kiss. So we have three different examples. These different verbs are going to stay the same in every single person or number, right? I, you, he, she, it, and so on, except for in the third person singular. There's a little bit of a change in the third person singular. So you might say, for instance, I love, but in the third person singular, he, she, or it, you would say he loves. And the basic idea then is that in the third person singular, you add an S. But there are a couple of complications. Sometimes a verb will end in a Y, and then you can say he cries, and we add the IES instead of the Y. That doesn't apply to every verb that ends in Y. So for instance, a verb that goes as follows, slays, this would be just an S at the end, and that's because there's a vowel before the Y. So the basic rule is that if there is a vowel before the Y, just add the S, but otherwise change that Y to an IES ending. And then we also have these verbs that end in a kind of S sound or a sh sound or a ch sound, right? A final kind of S. And then we add an ES ending in the third person singular. So he or she kisses. That's the basic form then, love, cry, kiss, add the S in the third person singular. And we can also talk about the negative form, And this is where we add do or does, as well as not. And then we add the base form of the verb. So what does that look like? Well, if you take the infinitive, so this would be to love, let's say, and you chop off the to bit, then you have the base form. So you might say, I do not love, or I do not cry, right? Or he does not kiss. So those would all be examples of the negative. You can also ask questions, and to ask a question, you basically invert the order a little bit. So you might say, does he love me? Okay, so here you can see that does is, again, that version of do. You can say do you, doesn't matter too much, so does or do, and then you use the base form, and then you finish the question. All right, so that's how we form questions, the negative version, as well as the regular form of the present simple. And what we'll do next is we'll have a look at how these different forms are used in relation to time and in actual sentences. And one thing that will surprise you is that the present simple tense actually rarely happens right now, right? So if we think about this as the now moment, right now this is happening, we tend to actually use the present continuous for that. So if you say, I am crying, then that's happening right now, right? I'm shedding copious amounts of tears right now. But you would not say, I cry for that. You might say, I cry a lot, but that's a more general statement. And so the funny thing about the present simple tense is that because it's simple, okay, it's sort of unadorned and it's a moment in time, it's very flexible. You can use it in all sorts of different situations that are not necessarily happening right now, but that have a sort of present aspect to them, a present character to them. So let's see what this means. In the first example here, she brushes her teeth twice a day. This describes a habitual or repeated action. So this is something that happens multiple times, and you can see that she's not brushing her teeth right now necessarily, but it's a present action that can be repeated over time. In the second instance, we say pandas like bamboo, and this is a general statement. It's a general observation about behavior. So these kinds of general statements, they are true across time, and as a result, the present simple has a kind of timeless aspect to it. The third one, we meet at dawn. This one talks about scheduled or arranged actions, and often you'll see the word always kind of added in. All right, we always do this. So that's one possibility. Another one is some kind of reference to time. So a reference to time. In the third case, what we have here is some kind of use of the present simple with the future. And that might surprise you as well. But this one goes, Sarah will throw a fit if she spots you. So here we have spots, and this is a case of the present simple being used in relation to some kind of future moment. Then we have number 5, and this is the imperative form, the order form. We can order people to do things with the present simple. And then the last one, we were having a great time when Katie shows up. This is called the historical present, and it's sort of a weird version. You might also see it called the fictional present, and you often see this actually in fiction or in storytelling, that people kind of zoom into a particular moment and they make it seem as if it's the present, even though it happened, let's say, in the past. So we were having a great time when suddenly Katie shows up. Literally, it should be Katie showed up, the past tense, but we're getting into the storytelling and we're telling it as if it's happening right now. So that's a bit more of a casual use, but you may occasionally come across it. That's it for the present simple tense. We haven't talked about every last version or use of this particular tense, but hopefully this helps you out.